guys, what is up? In this video I want to go over my thoughts on some stuff I've been playing recently. Mostly stuff I've been streaming, POE, Scorch League, Outlast 1, 2, DLC, and Resident Evil 7. Even though I haven't beaten Resident Evil 7 on stream yet, I've beaten it in the past before. And if you want to know my thoughts on 2042, you're going to have to wait for that one, because yeah, this isn't the video for that. Still putting some time in, trying to adjust, and I think I will give my thoughts on that at a later date. So we got plenty of time to talk today. This is, I think, the last Battlefield 1 gameplay I have to upload. Yes, it's cut off at the beginning. Again, like the domination matches I played on PC typically went over 20 minutes, and my Radeon only records up to 20 minutes, so that's why it's cut off at the beginning. But I hope you enjoy the Fedorov beatdown on Argonne Forest. So, anyway. First things first, Scorch League. I streamed, League started this a few weeks ago, and at the time I really enjoyed the mechanic. If you remember back in a couple of the POE videos I uploaded before 3.16, I was pretty excited for Scorch League, the mechanic, with the switching between realms, fighting the monsters of hell, and it was basically like Delirium meets Abyss. But after playing, I think I played about 3 weeks of the league, and I'm done already. Honestly, the Scourge mechanic didn't live up to its hype. The main reason is when you go to throw items into the Scourge oven, or the Krangle them, or whatever you want to call it, 9 times out of 10 you're going to get some shitty implicits. And if, like, the main part of this whole mechanic, right, is to make gear that's already like super expensive, like something you could sell for 50-60x, if not more. Well, maybe not that much, but like 10-15x, maybe hit a good implicit, sell it for more. Odds are of you hitting a good implicit's like slim to fucking none. And like the weights of fitting good stuff is just so ridiculous, and I think that's just like Chris Wilson and his whole, well, RNG should be king. Like, his whole design philosophy comes off of wanting to make crafting similar in ways to like pulling cards out of a, you know, like a booster pack. Like, what's the odds of you pulling, say, this is gonna be old, but what's the odds of you, say, pulling a fucking Teferi back when Teferi was like king a couple of years ago, or what's the odds of you pulling, say, a VMAX Charizard that's like the fucking expensive one? No, the odds are very slim, and that's kind of how POE works with RNG and its crafting system. I mean, there's ways to exploit it, and I wouldn't say exploit it, but there's ways to do it in a cheap manner to where you can hit what you want, but still, like, it's still expensive, it's still time consuming, and it's like the odds of you picking up an item that's good off the ground is very, very slim. You're gonna see when I release my build video over in the next day or two what I mean by that. But the odds of you getting a good item off the ground is just so ridiculously stupid low. I mean, the design philosophy on getting gear in that game is absolutely nuts, and their whole design philosophy on trading is absolutely stupid too, because they want trading to be hard, but they don't want to auction, put in a quote-unquote auction house. But that's what trading really is essentially at this point. It's just you're going onto a website, you're using a marketplace to get items, and 9 times out of 10 trying to get someone to respond back to you is just a pain in the ass. But I digress. But yeah, the Scorch League mechanic, you know, it's only good for crangling maps, and even then I think that map crangling really isn't exactly that good unless you have delirious maps, because Scourge mechanic with delirious mechanic is absolutely nutty in the amount of currency drops you can get from Scourge and Delirium. Speaking of currency, getting tainted currency is absolutely stupid. Drop rates are extremely low. They did buff them with a hotfix, but once they hotfixed it, it just kind of broke everything else in the game. I mean, overall experience, the only thing I'd really say 3.16 for me really was the quality of life changes. The smaller atlas, the passive tree upgrade, those two things really made the game a lot better for me. Even though at the end of the day, I really hope that with 3.17, the current atlas gets changed. That's to something better. Like, if I want to farm something, I don't want to have to worry about farming conqueror shit and other stuff. I just want to go in and do my thing and be done with it. Another thing about 3.16 that really fucked the game up was performance issues. Like I said, they hotfixed, I think 2 days after league start, they hotfixed in currency drops for Scorch and just better drops in general, and it led to constant crashing with the game. There's a ton of performance issues, whereas in Expedition we had a ton of server issues. Here in Scorch we just had a bunch of fucking performance issues. And honestly, I haven't mentioned this yet, but like, I stopped using the Scorch mechanic probably like a week after league start because just the mobs were so overtuned. I'd get fucking insta-gibbed by something that was off my screen, a projectile, which in my opinion projectiles are a little bit dumb in POE, even with the Pantheon upgraded all the way. You know, projectiles are still ridiculously strong, especially if you get off screen by something that's just retarded. But I just stopped doing the Scorch mechanic altogether because I just got tired of dying to stupid random bullshit. That's pretty much it. And it was so inconsistent. You could be like, well, you probably had a stack of like 200. No, like, I would die. Some maps I could stack it up to 200. Some maps I'd die at 20. And it was the same tier of maps. So, I mean, it was a really bad mechanic. Honestly, it's probably on the same level as some of the earlier league mechanics. And if you're a casual player, what's the point of doing Scorch mechanic? Because the crafting aspect of gear is just really for high-end stuff to try to make it better. And even then, it doesn't really make gear better 95% of the time. So on that note, I think 3.16 as a whole, the 3.15 is getting hate because of the nerfs to damage and buffs to enemies and buffs to defenses. I think 3.16 should get hate for just how bad the league mechanic is, because Expedition, in my opinion, was a really good league mechanic, and it is sad that it got shit on because it was associated with damage nerfs and defense buffs and enemy buffs. Whereas 3.16, the only saving grace to this patch is the quality of life changes, and I think it will get praised a lot more than 3.15 just because of that. But anyway, I digress. Moving on. So Outlast. The first one I played it for like 20 minutes last year after the tornadoes hit Nashville. Knocked my internet service out for like 3 days, and I couldn't get past. It fucked me up a little bit because it was like 3 in the morning, super quiet, and I was just like, yeah, fuck this, I can't play this game. But as I started playing it on stream, I'm like, no, this game really isn't that scary. A little fucked up, it ain't that scary. That being said, it was a pretty good game. I really liked the story. Outside the ending, just kind of just like, what? All this build up just for like the quote unquote end boss to be named such a generic name, and just for the ending to happen the way it did, it was just kind of like, okay, well, that's fucking lame, at least in my opinion. That ending kind of just, you go through all this hell just for shit to happen the way it happened. It's dumb. But overall, Outlast 1, it had a really good balance between chase scenes, letting you explore, jump scares, all, you know, everything the game needed to be good, it had. And it had the perfect flow I think it had perfect pacing. You didn't feel like you were being chased too much. You had time to explore, look at your surroundings, take it in. I mean, the game, to me, just for that alone, makes it really, really fucking good. And that brings me into Whistleblower, which I really enjoy too. But my problem with Whistleblower is I feel like there's too much chase time and not enough, explore time. But that's just my pet peeves there. But Whistleblower does have a really good story as well. It's really cool to see kind of how you make your way to Markov in Outlast 1. But then it kind of gets really weird towards the end. Like, we're going to go into spoilers here. So if you don't want to know spoilers, I mean, now's the time to either mute the video or just leave because, yeah. But my biggest confusion is, like, obviously the events that happen in Whistleblower, Beef Jerky Ass is dead, and Beef Jerky Ass dies in Outlast 1. So does that mean that Miles and Parker are both in the facility at the same time after he sends his email? I mean, that's what it seems to me. But at the same time, how do they not cross paths? And, like at the end of Outlast 1, we see Miles get killed because Billy's infested him. So does Miles save Parker, at the end? That's what I want to know. And then there's just that stare down. And it's kind of like, you're the reason why. You're the reason why I came here, and you're the reason why I ended up dead. And I kind of feel like that's kind of what that stare down was, and Parker kind of just got the fuck out of there. But, I mean, I like stuff that really makes you think, kind of mind-fucky stuff. And Outlast is definitely one of those games. And if I had to recommend anyone to play it, I strongly recommend it. Very good game, especially if you like to be scared, and especially if you're real jumpy, I think you'll enjoy the jump scares in this game. But moving on to Outlast 2. Oh boy, I think Outlast 2 is way better than Outlast 1 because the atmosphere of Outlast 2 is so fucking creepy, and it's not so much that where you're at is creepy. When you hit the school, I think the creepiest thing about Outlast 2 for me is the school. And I think it's just because if you watch like these ghost hunter videos that go to abandoned hospitals and stuff like that, places that should feel like you're safe don't feel safe at all in a game like this. It really feels creepy. It feels unsettling at times. And there's a lot of times on stream where I'm on edge and you can hear it because when we go from the wilderness to the school flashback, I'm just like, I don't want to fucking be here. It fucked with me so hard there. And that was good. Like, I enjoyed that. I don't think anything's put me on edge, like scared-tastic wise like that since I was a little kid when I watched Chucky. I don't even think I really gave a shit about Chucky that much. I mean, I never really watched scary movies growing up. It wasn't until I got a little bit older and I got into this whole supernatural, paranormal horror videos like Paranormal Activity and the Blair Witch Project and all that stuff. Outlast 2, fucking unsettling, amazing story. Like, I was so immersed in the story, more so than Outlast 1. But, it plays a lot on you going insane and mind control, and I've said in the past, like, Black Ops 1 is the best Call of Duty campaign they've ever made, and that campaign deals with you going insane due to mind control, and I think mindfucky type stories are the way to go, man. They are the absolute best, and the stuff that makes you think, really sit and think about what's going on. Anything that gets your mind racing along with your body, and between the scares and the story, and you trying to decipher what's going on in the story, or you can't really decipher what's going on because you're wondering if you're about to get jumped at. The layers in Outlast 2 are just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Really good story. And just the ending, man, that ending. And then I had to, after stream, go on the wiki, and I read, I think for like an hour, about all the characters, and seeing that the there's a 6-page comic or something like that, 6-chapter comic called the Murkoff Diaries that I'd really like to read. That kind of explains that, you know, some of the people from Murkoff went out there and found Blake, found Lynn, and again, here's some more spoilers. So if you haven't played Outlast 2, now's your time to tune out. Lynn has a baby in Outlast 2, quote unquote has a baby, and when Blake shows her the baby, she's like, there's nothing there, and in the wiki it says that the baby doesn't have a shadow. I didn't notice that when playing. I went back and watched my stream and noticed the baby didn't have a shadow. In the Murkoff Diaries, it is seen that there is no baby when they go to find Blake. So basically the whole thing is a hallucination, basically him going insane. Lynn being pregnant is an illusion, him going insane. So I don't really know what exactly happened to Lynn. Wasn't really talked about on the wiki, so I think if we go back and read the Murkoff Diaries, I think it will explain that. I don't know. Can't tell you. Haven't read it. If anyone knows, leave a comment below. But yeah, Outlast 2. It's not often that I try to read further into a game, and Outlast 2 has done that. I think the last time I did that was with BioShock, and I have to say, Outlast 2 is probably my favorite game I've played this year, without a doubt, so far. Just incredibly good storytelling. So if you haven't played any of these, I highly recommend picking them up. There's another Outlast game coming out next year, which is supposed to have multiplayer, so that'd be pretty cool, but I do plan on streaming that. I do plan on getting it, plan on streaming it, and plan on shitting myself, most likely. So, and from what I've understand, they're going to go pretty hard into mind control and more stuff like that. So that'd be a pretty cool game to play. Anyway, moving on. Resident Evil 7. I just started streaming this after I beat Outlast 1. I kind of went back to Outlast 2, and now I'm back to full-time streaming Resident Evil 7. I have made, I think, a couple tweets on the game, giving my thoughts. I did say it was probably the best Resident Evil game since Resident Evil 4, and it was actually better than Resident Evil 4, in my opinion. And as I've gotten older, I feel like Resident Evil 5 is definitely the better Resident Evil between that and 4. We don't talk about 6. But, yeah. Resident Evil 7, the first person aspect really changed the game for me. Made the game a whole lot better, a whole lot creepier. And when I played it, I was working at the time, so it's kind of just play a few hours here, a few hours there. My only complaint about the game is that it kind of goes too long for a Resident Evil game, in my opinion. But that's not to say that it's a bad game. I just felt like the ending scene really just takes too long, in my opinion. Like, to get to that final boss fight, you go through a little bit more story, you get some more backstory, and you're there. But it's just a minor complaint, and honestly I think that's just how I was feeling at the time. That may change with stream, with how I'm streaming it right now, kind of knowing what goes on. My plan is to kind of get the ending I didn't get when I played on console, so it'll be pretty cool to see finally the other side that I planned on doing but never did. But I think Resident Evil 7 has really put new life into the Resident Evil series. I haven't got to play Resident Evil Village yet, and I'm hoping that's a good game as well. If I do get my hands on it, I do plan on streaming it. So, but Resident Evil 7, it's a great game. I highly recommend it. If you haven't played it, especially with Black Friday coming up, it should be going on sale. And if you have Steam, it should be going on sale quite soon again as well. So, I mean, like I said, phenomenal game, very good story, pretty unsettling, and it being in first person adds a whole new life to the Resident Evil series. But I'm out of time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you've not been out to the streams, I'll leave the link in the description below. Be sure to hit that like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.